You brush your teeth without thinking. You take the same route to work. You reach for your phone the second you feel bored. These moments feel small. They feel automatic. But the real answer is far stranger than automatic. Every single one of these moments is physically reshaping the structure of your brain right now while you barely notice. Your brain is not a fixed machine. It is more like wet clay that hardens a little more every time you press the same shape into it. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. That just means your brain's ability to change its own wiring based on what you repeatedly do. Do something once and it barely leaves a mark. Do it 1,000 times and a highway gets built. Have you ever wondered why a habit feels almost impossible to break, even when you want to break it? The answer starts in the 1940s with a psychologist named Donald Hebb. Hebb proposed a simple idea that would eventually change neuroscience forever. Neurons that fire together, wire together. When two brain cells activate at the same time, again and again, the connection between them grows stronger. Fire together enough times, and the two cells become nearly inseparable. This is why the smell of a certain food can suddenly summon a memory from 20 years ago. The neurons for smell and memory fired together once, so powerfully that they never fully let go of each other. But habits are not just about memory. They live somewhere deeper, somewhere older. Buried in the center of your brain sits a structure called the basal ganglia. Researchers like Anne Gray-Beal at MIT have spent decades studying this region, and what she found reshaped how scientists think about behavior itself. The basal ganglia does not care about right or wrong. It does not care about your goals. It cares about one thing only: efficiency. Once a behavior becomes repeated enough, your brain quietly hands it over to this ancient system, so your conscious mind can stop wasting energy on it. This is why you can drive an entire route home and arrive with almost no memory of the drive itself. Your brain was not asleep. It was simply somewhere else, because the driving had become automatic. This is the part almost nobody tells you. Automatic is not neutral. Automatic is powerful in either direction. The same wiring that lets you tie your shoes without thinking is the exact wiring that keeps you reaching for a snack you don't actually want. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a helpful habit and a harmful one. It only knows repetition. Doesn't that change how you see your own routines? Here is where the story gets even stranger. Every habit follows the same three-part loop, no matter how simple or destructive it seems. First, a cue, something in your environment or your emotional state that tells your brain a sequence is about to begin. Second, a routine, the behavior itself. Third, a reward, something that tells your brain, remember this, do it again. Wendy Wood, a psychologist who has studied habit formation for over 2 decades, found something remarkable in her research. Nearly half of everything a person does in a single day is not a conscious decision at all. It is a habit loop running quietly in the background. Cue leading to routine, leading to reward, over and over, almost invisibly. Think about what that means. Half of your day is not actually you choosing. Half of your day is a pattern your brain built and now runs on autopilot. That should be unsettling. It should also be freeing, because if a pattern was built, a pattern can be rebuilt. This is where dopamine enters the story, and dopamine is almost always misunderstood. Most people think dopamine is the chemical of pleasure. It is not. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz discovered something far more interesting while studying primates. Dopamine is not released when the reward arrives. It spikes earlier, at the moment of anticipation. Dopamine is the chemical of wanting, not the chemical of having. This single discovery explains why checking your phone feels compelling, even when the notification turns out to be nothing. Your brain is not chasing the reward. It is chasing the anticipation of the reward. The scroll itself becomes the habit, long before any actual satisfaction shows up. Now picture your ancestors, tens of thousands of years ago, walking across an unfamiliar landscape. This exact same system, cue, routine, reward, dopamine anticipation, was not built for phones or snacks. It was built for survival. A rustle in the grass was a cue. Freezing and scanning was the routine. Staying alive was the reward. Repeat that loop enough times across a lifetime and across generations, and you get a brain that is exceptionally good at forming automatic responses to danger and opportunity. Your brain today is running ancient software on a completely different, much faster, much more stimulating environment. That mismatch is the real reason modern habits feel so hard to control. You are not weak. You are not lacking discipline. You are operating a survival machine, built for scarcity, inside a world engineered for constant reward. Every app, every advertisement, every red notification badge is designed by people who understand the cue routine reward loop far better than most users do. Isn't it strange that the very system that once kept your ancestors alive is now the same system being quietly exploited for your attention? But here is the part that should give you hope instead of dread. Neuroplasticity does not stop working once you become an adult. For a long time, scientists believed the brain became fixed after childhood, unable to meaningfully rewire itself. That belief has been overturned. Studies on adults learning new skills, from musicians to language learners to people recovering from stroke, show measurable physical changes in brain structure well into old age. The wiring never stops being changeable. It only becomes slower to change than it was when you were young. This means every single habit loop you have ever built can be edited. Not instantly, not without friction, but edited nonetheless. Researchers have found that the most effective way to break an old habit loop is rarely to fight the routine directly. It is to keep the same cue and swap in a new routine while making sure some form of reward still follows. Your brain does not need the old behavior. It needs the loop to feel complete. Give it a new routine that still finishes the loop, and the old wiring slowly, quietly, begins to weaken from disuse, while a new pathway strengthens in its place. This is also why small, boring, repeated actions matter so much more than people expect. A single burst of motivation rarely rewires anything. Motivation fades within hours. But a small action, repeated daily at the same cue for weeks, begins to physically thicken the neural pathway behind it. This is not a metaphor. Brain imaging studies show measurable structural changes, changes you can see on a scan, forming from nothing more dramatic than quiet, consistent repetition. So the next time you reach for your phone without thinking, or take the same route home, or feel that pull toward a habit you swore you'd quit, remember what is actually happening underneath. You are not weak, and you are not broken. You are a survival machine, built over hundreds of thousands of years, still running the same ancient rules, in a world that has changed faster than your biology ever could. The habits that feel automatic are not automatic at all. They are chosen again and again, so many times, that your brain simply stopped asking permission. And that means the next choice, however small, however boring, is quietly rewiring you too.